Reading Lookism, you already know that Gen 2 is full of monsters. But here's a question I'm going to ask and answer all in one video. Who actually has the stronger path as a fighter? The man who turned copy into infinite offense, or the leader who turned weaponized copy into precognitive defense? Today, we're breaking down what a path really means in Lookism's power system, how Johan and Daniel awakened theirs, and the key differences in how their paths function, and finally, an objective fight scenario based on narrative, mechanics, and scaling. No glazing here, no narrative bias, we're analyzing this like how Eugene would analyze a plan. Let's get into it. In Lookism, mastery is an awakening tied to stats, strength, speed, durability, technique, all visualized through colored eyes, and aura when someone surpasses the human threshold physically. But a path is different. Gun Park defined it perfectly. A path is a unique awakening that manifests as proof of individuality, born from understanding yourself, some unwavering determination, and the conviction that your power is yours alone. No one else can attain your exact path. Visually, a path takes form of a pure white aura covering the entire body and white glowing eyes, instead of one specific body attribute like mastery users. It isn't a stat boost, and it isn't like a bloodline exclusive ability like UI. It's the moment a fighter forges their own rule in the verse. Johan and Daniel, despite sharing copy, develop paths that are polar opposites in execution. Johan's path is called the Infinite Technique, named personally by Gun Park himself after the Gun for Gun clash. Let's recount what led to it. Johan didn't awaken the Infinite Technique in a dojo or a lab. He had to, first of all, number 1, hit rock bottom as a copy user who lost his purpose after his eyesight worsened. Number 2, take inspiration from fighting philosophy of Tom Lee after the brutal real-world style of Tom Lee that values adapting through experience, not perfection. And number 3, he temporarily regained his vision and permanently regained his vision, letting him process all of the copy techniques at once. Right before fighting Gun, Johan had copy, experience, and motivation, but still no individuality. Gun was the wall, not an opponent Johan could brute force imitate. But mid-fight, Johan did something different. He merged every technique he's ever copied into one single fluid fighting style. Unpredictable, seamless, and situation perfect. Instead of just using his copied techniques, Johan made them infinite in application, giving him a massive attack arc, dozens of micro options mid-strike, the perfect counter technique to break through defense blockades, and the ability to always land a hit using the most effective technique in the moment. Because his path isn't copy, it's the infinite offensive freedom that copy gives him once fused into him. Which is why Gun said, "You finally found your own path," and that's why Gun naming him a threat without even seeing every strike coming. Johan's path is offense with no ceilings, a copy user rewriting his limit into infinity. Then on the other hand, we have Daniel Park, Gun's only student who's ever dubbed a masterpiece. But Daniel's path didn't come from the perfect body, it came from the original body, the little Daniel everyone once overlooked. Daniel's awakening required 2 conditions. Number 1, talent, which is his copy ability, and 2, experience, real combat exposure, and refined senses. Unlike Johan, Daniel didn't manifest infinite offense, he manifested precognitive combat awareness. His journey included fighting against commanders and executives within the underworld of Incheon, being recognized as J. Kim as the one who commands those monsters through experience, and pushing himself in Incheon's underground wars, particularly during the clashes tied to the Incheon arc. Decisive moment came when he nearly got chopped in half against a 1,000-man class executive in the darkness, and his senses fired at 100%. Daniel combined his copy talent and his 5 senses that read movement, intent, distance, breathing, muscle tension, and even rhythm. And instead of copying his enemy, Daniel predicts the attack path before it even reaches him, letting him deflect attacks in advance, read defensive intentions offensively, and strike the weakest point in the opponent's guard with the most effective option. Gun himself once stated that once Daniel fully understands and applies his path, he could become undefeatable. Not from stats, but from breaking through an opponent's defenses by reading intent itself. Daniel's path is copy plus sensory precognition. Not infinite combos, but always the right response in the smallest possible time window. Predictive precision over infinite variability. So let's lay it out plainly. For readers who actually understand the verse, Johan has his infinite technique with unlimited offensive options, a massive strike arc, unpredictable fluid technique, lands hits through technique freedom, and doesn't rely on stats. Meanwhile, Daniel has near future intent prediction, counter before impact defense, predictive pinpoint offense, and lands hits through intent gaps. He also doesn't rely on physical mastery aura. They're both copy-based paths. One breaks through infinite systems, and the other counters systems through perfect prediction and precision. And finally, the fun part. A real analysis. Who wins if they fought now? The conditions would be Johan has infinite technique fully awakened, Daniel has sensory precognition path awakened in his original body, meaning that Big Daniel isn't included here. The way I think this would go would be, of course, Johan overwhelms defensive fighters by breaking through blockades using correct copy techniques instantly. His path thrives against structured defense, predictable archetypes, and physical fighters who rely on reacting conventionally. But Daniel's path excels against fighters who commit attack patterns, even unpredictable ones, because his senses let him detect intent before a technique execution, not after movement begins. The critical factor is, Daniel doesn't defend by reacting to Johan's copy techniques. He defends by predicting the direction and intent that Johan will attack him from before the technique is selected, letting him counter preemptively. Now, Johan may have infinite options, yes, but infinite options still must obey intent, timing, weight shift, muscle priming, micro motion tells, all of which Daniel senses. Johan is chaotic at the technical layer. Daniel intercepts at the intent layer, which is somewhat deeper. Johan would overwhelm most fighters in the verse, but in a direct 1v1 against Daniel's awakened path, Johan's versatility becomes analyzed input, while Daniel becomes predictive output. Unless Johan can mask his intent with some level of sensory disruption beyond what Tom Lee's taught him, Daniel will always move half a step ahead, deflecting his angles, punishing openings created by intent shifts, and Johan himself might not even realize he broadcasts it. So for speaking objectively, Daniel Park wins, not because he hits harder, but because he reads the fight at a deeper level than Johan would. Johan rewrites offense into infinity, but Daniel rewrites survival and counter into inevitability. That gives him the edge. So, the final take, Johan has the most limitless offensive ideology in Generation 2, but Daniel has the most fundamental combat-breaking path because it interprets power before it's even expressed, not after. He counters instinct, chaos, copy, legacy from the level of intent itself. If you think so differently, leave it down in the comments, and that's it. Kaiseni, out.